English teachers, so this week I want to talk to you about 4 words that I think some students are getting a bit mixed up about, and these are words to do with the way we read and understand text. And I've just noticed it's coming through in some of my students' writing, and I thought, but I don't think they really understand this whole background thing of how this reading works. So let's look at what those 4 words are. Word is elements. So I'm talking about elements of text. So for this whole video, I'm thinking about fictional text. So novels, short stories, films, fictional long text. Okay, so elements, as in elements of literature. Now this is the old-fashioned way that we used to study text, and I think that we should still do this. And I know that a lot of us, most of us, probably plan our units around these elements of literature, and these of course are characters, so the things we study: characters, their relationships, conflicts, development, and so on. Setting, that physical, political, social setting. The plot, so things like the excuse me, the significant events, the beginning, the end, and so on. Symbolism is often a big one, depending on what novel you're studying, of course. Significant quotations, I wouldn't call that an element of literature, but it's certainly something that we focus on, so I sort of regard it as an element in my planning. And that theme, cross that out, main idea, and I'll talk to you about theme and main idea in a minute. So those are the elements of text, and I think students need to understand what those are before they move on to anything else, so they can hang their novel study on that structure. So that's word or phrase number 1, elements of text. Second word, theme. Theme is what I would call the brand of the novel or whatever text you're studying. So it's the brand, it's the vibe of the thing, to quote that fantastic Australian movie, The Castle. It's the general overview that is explored in this novel. What students need to understand is the theme is generally 1 or 2 words. You can describe it in 1 or 2 words. So this novel explores the theme of discrimination. However, from that, think of, was it a tree diagram, that hierarchy sort of flow chart? Can't remember my words. If you've got discrimination at the top as your theme, from there falls probably several ideas that the creator is exploring about that theme. So of course that leads us on to the next word. Stay tuned. Number 3, of course, then, is main idea. So main ideas, or just ideas, fall from that theme. What is it about that theme that the author or director is exploring? Now, the key thing to remember here, and I've said this before, is to get the students to use the word that when they are discussing that idea. Using the word that forces them to explain the idea in a full sentence. So the main idea is that discrimination makes both the perpetrator and the victim equally unhappy. I don't know that that's true, maybe at a deep level, but so you can see how that word that has forced them to explain in a sentence exactly what the author is trying to get us to understand. So that's really, really important for them to realize. What I tend to see is, the idea is discrimination. Well, no, that's the theme. What is the idea about that theme that is being conveyed? So that's really important for students to understand. Right, let's look at the 4th and final word, and this is one that has become well known to New Zealand teachers because it is a word that relates to one of our new achievement standards, I really want to say it's become infamous, and that is the word aspects. So what is an aspect? Aspects is all the things. So A for aspects, A for all. That's a good way of remembering it. So aspects covers the elements of literature, and that includes, of course, your main ideas. So everything, character setting, symbolism, main ideas. It also includes, of course, purpose, audience, perhaps a little bit of context, and in particular language and structure. When I think of aspects, I think of the details that are involved with those elements of literature in language and structure. So those are what I call the aspects. So that's aspects, all. That's one way of looking at it. In my humble opinion, and what I would do next year is I would make sure before, maybe at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of any text study, I would make sure that my students understand these concepts, because they help students hang their studies of a greater structure and understand what we're talking about when we study text, but also understand better how to write about those texts. So that's elements of literature, and then the difference between theme and main idea, which of course sort of they do come under elements of literature, and also aspects of text, which of course includes language and structure. So I hope that helps. Some people might think that elements of literature includes language and structure. I would disagree. I think that's a whole nother technical side of things. Got to be studied, but it's not a traditional element. So anyway, there you go. I'll link the blog below, and perhaps that's something that you could use for your lesson next year to help plan your lesson, or maybe just print it off and give it to your seniors. Enjoy!